Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Second video, I guess third, technically third video. And I wanted to discuss today how I started traveling around the world, and without really having to spend too much money. The biggest pushback I always end up hearing when I tell people just go travel is, "Oh, I don't have the money for that." And it sort of irks me. It irks me because I feel like if you prioritize something, you're willing to figure out how to make it work. Um, but I want to do a quick recap of some of the things we discussed in our first video. There are three really important each one of these videos, let me backtrack. Each one of these videos is going to build on top of the other. So honestly, if you haven't already, start with sort of episode 1. I feel like you get a sort of kind of a good sense of who I am, what I'm trying to do. Episode 2, I really highlight it, start giving a little bit of backstory, and the first sort of kind of set of lessons and things that are really important to understand when looking at going a little bit more nomadic and start kind of solving some of your problems and figuring out what that next step is. Um, that all being said, let's get into these couple of takeaways from that first video. The first one and the most important one is to find your path. No one's going to assign you a path. No one's going to say this is what you should do with your life. This is how you should do it. A lot of people are going to say, it's your life to live your life how you want to. Um, that being said, your path could be to travel. Your path could be to join the military. Your path could be to go to college. Your path could be, you know, your path is your path. I can't tell you what it is. But what I can sort of kind of do and suggest is saying, hey, um, your path should include a couple of things. It should include something that's going to make you happy. It should include a career in which you find comfort. And when I say a career you find comfort, I'm not necessarily saying that working for your father making $180,000 a year is comfort. I think that it's a classic trap that we sort of kind of find ourselves in, especially if you're in your 30s and 40s, is going and working for the family. There's no guarantee that that's actually going to make you happy. Um, but whatever it is, find your path, right? And when you're on your path, right, takeaway 2 is others will help you with your path. So the way I sort of kind of describe it is this, right? Is you clicked on my channel because you were probably interested in saying, hey, like I'm sort of kind of interested in traveling. I'm interested in fixing some aspects of my life. I'm going through a rough point. I'm in a low point. I'm in a valley, and right now I'm trying to go back up to the mountaintop. Find people who want to help you on your path because you're going to have a lot of distractions. There's 100. I tell my buddy this all the time. There's thousands of reasons not to do what you want to do with your life. But all you really need is one thing to actually want, like one reason to actually want to pursue it, to then go and pursue it. And I tell people, look for the one thing. If it's financial freedom, if it is, doing something you love, whatever that ends up being, that's up to you to decide. And then don't let anyone shake you from your path. I think this is even something that I sometimes struggle with, right? Is that you find someone who you think is really helping you, but maybe they're not helping you in the exact way that you need them to. And it's frustrating, don't get me wrong. And then the last thing is dealing with your problems is a skill set. Being able to say, I got rent due, I got this going on, I got this going on, how am I going to take care of all these issues? It's a problem. You have to be able to figure it out and solve it yourself, right? Now, sometimes that solving it yourself is saying, "Hey, I'm going to reach out to this person, see if they can help." But it also means you're paying them back. It also means you're looking out for them when they ask for it. Solving your problems could be something like your car broke down. Okay, well, how are you going to fix it? Okay, well, I'm going to get a tow truck. The tow truck, we're going to tow it to this place. From this place, we're going to see what the mechanic says. I got $3,000 in the bank. I'm going to fix the car. It's seeing a problem and solving it. It's not running to someone else and asking them to solve your problems for you. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us millennials and even the younger generations have this issue where the second we see problems we don't know how to solve, we throw in the towel. We're calling anyone and everyone who has a pair of ears, you know. And at the end of the day, you have to, as you get older, the expectation is that you can kind of start figuring out how to solve your own problems. And I think that these are three huge takeaways that you should have had. If you haven't watched that first video already, I'll put a link to it at the top. It's definitely worth understanding each point and understanding that at the end of the day, it's your life, right? So with all that being said, let's go into how you actually travel then, right? Um, I still kind of brought up in the video, there's WWOOFing, right? It stands for Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms. And it's a great tool. You can do it pretty much anywhere. There is, I have to double check. It's been a couple of years since I've been on the website, but they used to have it to where like you could click the state. The United States was its own country, and then I think it was Wolf International where you could go through and look at wolfing in like different countries. Now I know some of the countries might have had their own paywall around it. But with all that being said, majority of these sites are maybe 40, $50. Not that it's because they're running a background check. They want to make sure that you're not a crazy, and they're making sure that you're not someone who's going to get on these farms and do them harm, right? But with all that being said, always do your due diligence. When you're interviewing them, you need to, when they're interviewing you, you need to be interviewing them. You also need to know how to stay clear of giant red flags with it. Hey, this farm has 2 pictures and 1 review, and it's a 2-star review. Probably not a great farm. Probably not a great place to travel to. Put all your eggs in that basket if it all doesn't work out, right? Um, but with all that being said, it is a good resource if it comes to if you're in a horrible situation with where you're at, right? If your relationship ended, you're not sure quite where to go, you're not sure quite how to get there. It's a good tool to use because it puts you working someplace with a roof over your head and food coming to you. But the other half of that is you have to do your due diligence with it. You need to be looking, you need to be paying attention to things, right? Um, Another great tool is called CoolWorks, and these jobs are a little bit more remote. Is probably the word of the day, right? So I use CoolWorks, and I found a job up in Alaska. I was up there in 2018. Start montage of videos and pictures, right? When I was up there, I was working at a little motel, just doing uh, changing sheets and doing some laundry stuff. But it also put me in contact with some great individuals. It allowed me to sort of kind of find people who, yeah, no, it was awesome. Like people who you find it's just a mixture of and hodgepodge of people from everywhere, right? Um, Back then they were doing the I think it's B1 visas. So like you had a lot of foreign students being up there, working in the resorts and whatnot in the hotels up in Alaska because they couldn't find anyone from the U.S. And now with all the changes that have happened, I'm sure it's a lot easier to get up there. They're more willing to take on people. So especially if you're in any type of service industry and you're looking at yourself saying, God, I hate this job, but God, I'd do anything to have a different opportunity someplace else. CoolWorks is definitely the place to look at. And I'm also letting you know right now, it is such a, like, when you read about some of these adventures and some of these opportunities, it's really hard not to get excited about it. Um, I've been offered a couple other jobs since the Alaska job to going up there. And I've had too much going on with trying to juggle and trying to maintain. One of the jobs was working up in the Yellowstone Club, which was one of the most private resorts in the world. Um, they offered me a sweet gig, great pay, and everything. But when I started looking at how cold the Montana winters get, I'm sort of kind of sickly. I prefer the beach to the mountains anyway. Um, I did not want to risk getting super sick up there and not being able to get myself and take care of myself the way I needed to. Um, so I decided maybe this is a great idea. Really want to do it at some point, but I just thought that maybe this wasn't the exact right time to do it. Um, with all that being said, there are opportunities everywhere. Um, I've looked down, and majority of these places are very similar to the wolfing side of things, which is that similar and yet different, right? So they're gonna set you up with a place to stay, or they're gonna say, hey, look, you know, Not all of them now. Not all of them. You need to make sure you go through the filters and make sure that you're looking for work that says, "Hey, employer provided housing," right? And then it'll be, I've seen it as much as maybe $150, $200 a week comes directly out of your check to pay for housing. Some depending on the place, some places will take care of your food fully. Some people say it's okay. We're going to take $80 a week for food, to provide food for you, and so every place is a little bit different. Each accommodation is just a touch different than the last, but it is a great way to travel and to see things and to land someplace new and give it an opportunity. All of this work is seasonal work, right? So CoolWorks is it's seasonal. So now, don't get me wrong. Some of these places, you'll work a season and they'll come ask you to come back or stay on for the next season. And that was what the job at the Ocean Club was supposed to be for me. It was supposed to be I believe it was supposed to start in late October, and I'd finish in March, beginning of March, and then beginning of April they would want me to come back and work the summer with them. Um, so it was definitely an opportunity. I really wanted to take it. I probably should have taken it based on what ended up happening afterwards, but everything happens for a reason, right? So, but that all being said, you meet, when you go over into these resort areas, right, you're gonna meet some amazing, fantastic people. And once again, this sort of kind of ties back to the first lesson, the first video, right, which was, hey, find people that are gonna help you on your path. So you're gonna meet some amazing people who they see the work you're putting in, and then they might ask you, hey, like, what's your plan? Where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to get to? And like the more time you spend, I guess this is the first takeaway from this video, right? I'm gonna call it like leveling up, right? Spend time around people that are gonna level you up. Don't spend time around people who don't want who you constantly see barely being able to figure out their own shit. You know what I mean? You want to spend time around people who they ask you probing questions. How are you going to get this done? How are you going to figure this out? You don't want people who, you know, they're completely content working at a gas station. Nothing wrong with it, right? Not here to judge, but they don't see any point on bettering their lives past the gas station, right? They don't understand why, becoming a manager of the gas station is a worthy endeavor, right? Nothing wrong with that. That is the path that they choose. But then again, that's not everyone's path. And I'm assuming if you've now clicked on this video, you're saying to yourself, man, I would love to sort of kind of see more. I want to see different things. So, and this is where the financial side of it comes into play, right? So, a ticket from Raleigh to Billings, I would think I was looking at $420. And that was flying out of RDU. I think I was going to be landing, God, I want to say it was in maybe Detroit, Michigan, and then Michigan to, where was it? It wasn't Billings. It was another town that I think it was to a city that I was gonna have to get on a bus to go over. But I think no, they were gonna they were gonna pick me up on a shuttle from that airport in that other city. But truth of the matter is, right, at the end of the day, if you want to do it, you gotta figure it out, right? And I think to me that's the most important part. It's again, there's 1,000 reasons not to do something. Look for the one reason to do something. Alaska, if you're looking at Alaska, it's probably about the same price. Most of these places. So at the end of the day, if you're asking yourself, well, how much money do I really need to do this? I'd say $1,000. I'd say $400 to $500 to get you to wherever the new place is. Mind you, if you're in, say for example, you're in Iowa, Illinois, let's say, right, and you find a spot in, say, Florida, right? Down in Florida, they've got a couple resorts on CoolWorks that are looking for cooks, servers, whatever have you, right? You got to get there, right? So so if you have a car and the car can make it to Florida, go in that car, go to work in a different state, just like that. Like I said, at the end of the day, if you sit here in your life and you say to yourself, I'm so effing miserable where I'm at right now, and you're not really doing anything to change it, you yourself are choosing misery. We don't live in we don't live in the 60s, man. Like, going into a car nowadays and traveling 300 miles down the road isn't a huge feat. The only question is, can your car make it, right? Google will get you there. If you get lost, you have your phone. You know, like if you need to call someone, you can. There's a lot of built-in factors that allow you to really like figure out what you want within your life. You know, so I tell people, look, it's your call on what you want to do with your life. Um, but at the end of the day, $1,000 isn't anything. You know, well, what about my bills? What about the apartment? What about it? What about it? Like, I guess that's my other. Maybe this is the second point, right? How much value do you assign to happiness, right? If you're depressed, yourself has raced through your mind over the last, let's say, 6 months. How much value do you put on happiness? Are you going to be more upset with yourself, right, for not trying to change your circumstances? Or are you okay with the alternative and what the alternative ends up becoming, right? I say this to someone who's faced depression. I'm saying this to someone who has tried to offer myself, right? I have I've gone through those dark places. I understand the struggles that are with them. But to me, what it came down to is I ended up believing in something more powerful than myself. That's not everyone's token. That's not everyone's go-to. And maybe that ends up being our next video is not necessarily finding your faith, but maybe finding what moves you. I think we'll call it that. Because at the end of the day, like it's up to you on how you live your life. And I think I put a lot of value on being happy, finding a place where I can find my peace. I understand that my family, you know, God love them, most of them try hard to be positive, but they're not at the end of the day. And I'm happy being by myself, you know, with my wife and my daughter. You know, I don't care too much about other people because in the end, I learned I can't really rely on them for to be there to show up for weddings or anything else. So, but anyway, guys, just two takeaways this video. Again, I would love to hear back from you guys. Give me some feedback. If you have a story that you want to share, do you have something that you really want uh, to get off your chest? If you're looking for help, if you're looking for guidance, please shoot me an email at dannypereira@gmail.com. I'm here for you guys. You know, we're a small channel right now. Only I think 155, 156 followers at the moment, but I'm hoping that we can grow this thing. I'm also going to release a book. The book's going to go more into my adventures in Hawaii, and some of the adventures I had in some of these places I talk about. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys watching the video, and have a great day. Thank you.